All right. Hello, everyone. It's the first time I'm using this system. Antonella is here. Let me know how the quality is, how the sound quality is, how the resolution is. It's the first time I'm using this new system, not OBS. I'm using StreamYard, and I had a little bit of a challenge because it wasn't recognizing the camera. But then I changed to Chrome and scheduled it, and it all seems to be so easily put together. So I hope that you guys can hear me and see me okay. If you don't, well, too bad. too bad. But let me know if you guys are okay. Okay, let me see. I've got some people. Antonella is here. Says hi. And Mexico 15 says it's good. And Shirin is here. Hello, dear Shirin. How have you been? And Sarge returns, says 20 Mail, North Carolina. Says, hi, Meron. Hope you're well. Thank you, Serge. Or is it Sarge or Serge? Well, I'm delighted that it's working because I wasn't really that happy with my old system. The OBS was very good for a while, but then suddenly stopped working on my good mic. So for a long time, I've been using the regular, sound of the uh, uh, computer, and it wasn't that good. It was not good quality. And Shirin says 32 female New York. Quality is good. Thank you very much, Shirin. So don't you guys forget, this is a test for tonight. So we'll be here only a short time, maybe an hour. If I can muster it up, then I got to go and do my regular regiment of, um, walk up the hill for 20 minutes. That's how I'm trying to get back in shape. And Sarge is Sarge. I used to be Rex, but my real name is Logan. Lol. Well, you definitely have managed to confuse the hell out of me. That's for sure. It's Sarge, but I used to be Rex, and now I'm Logan. What else is next? Well, glad that you're here. You could make it. Um, do you guys can you guys notice the quality of the sound? It's because this mic is pretty awesome, but I haven't been able to use it for a while, and I hope that still its difference is recognizable in quality. And Antonella says, I have HOCD. Says, Antonella, I need to know your gender first. And your age was 15, is it? I hope you have permission from your parents to be here because I don't want to, step on any toes as far as, what is customary to your home. And at the same time, I want to make sure that you understand that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist or psychotherapist. The books that I have written is based on my research on scholars of 100 years ago and my understanding and pondering about the movement of the psyche. And then on that basis, I move on to continue my research on neuroscience and um, what OCD and HOCD, how it operates, movement of the mind, and then be able to deliver in certain ways that perhaps it's usable for most of you. Seems to be enjoying it and getting tremendous amount of help from it. But at the same time, I want you to be clear on that and hope you have permission from your parents to be here as you are so young. And Antonella says 15 years old, and he says, and she says, and it's a girl, and she says yes, that she has permission from her parents. All right, then I believe you. There's no reason not to. And Olga says, "Oh, hello, Mehran. It's 4 a.m. here. I was half asleep, but now I will ask you a question." All right, okay. So, um, what is it? A dobre diem? is it is it morning? Okay, Olga is from Russia, and it's 4 a.m. there. Naturally, it must be, I guess. Yeah, it's 6:13 here, which is pretty much, I guess, what, 10 hours difference? Is it? Um, Sarge says, please like the stream, guys. All right, thank you for that. Yeah, like the stream. I cannot see the like numbers as I used to see it on OBS, but I hope that you guys will go ahead anyhow. um, Antonella says, okay, it's okay. It says, I'm here because here in Mexico, it's difficult to find a psychologist specialized in OCD. And in your videos and other channels, I have managed to improve a little. Okay, good. You know, I have the links of famous psychotherapists and experts in this field, such as Dr. Jan Weiner, Dr. Philipson, Dr. Schwartz. These are world known and not necessarily easy to uh, reach them, but they're there. And of course, my videos in two playlists. One is intrusive, transient OCD, HOCD negative thoughts, which focuses on interpretation of thoughts and talks about how thoughts are born, how is consciousness born, the relationship between thoughts and consciousness, movement of the psyche. We talk about desire, talk about mechanical process, order, fear. And so in that playlist, there's also very important video that most people have somehow passed by or have not focused on. That's video number 8. Video number 8 has tremendous amount of important information in there, which is not discussed by any medical field or any one else that could have done any research on the movement of the mind. It's about thoughts. Many of you are wondering why such thoughts, once it starts, keeps coming and gets worse and worse and worse and continues. Well, simply said, in just so that everybody can understand, otherwise I don't mean it to be as simple as law of attraction, but law of attraction in the meaning of one leads to another. And when you start thinking about something negative, whether it's OCD, HOCD, or whatever the heck it may be, the roots of certain thoughts invite similar kind of thoughts. In other words, if you start with a train of thought of some kind due to anxiety or due to some kind of intrusive thought that shows up, when you data hunt it, it will attract similar kind of thoughts. So you will end up with an array of thoughts of the same intrusive kind. And you wonder, why are these doing here? It's very simple. Because if you look at my thoughts are about resonation. It's like a music. When an orchestra struts a tune on a certain note, other instruments that enter in would naturally be inclined to come in with the same kind of a key, same kind of a tone, to fit into the music, the rhythm that is going. It's all resonation. It would not happen if it was an automatic system. Same thing, when you think about something negative, the resonation is on negative, invites and attracts negative thoughts. That doesn't mean that you are inclined or interested in that thought. It just means the machine is started on a certain program, the brain, thought manufacturing machine, And when it starts on that certain program, certain resonation, it attracts same kind of a garbage. So it constantly you will have other garbage, other intrusive thoughts, as long as you're ruminating and staying in there. So in video number 8 of my playlist, Intrusive, Transient, OCD, HOCD, Negative Thoughts, if you watch it, you will see that I have mentioned a very important thing there. Why, you ask, why I have OCD or HOCD or intrusive thoughts? It is not that you have that. First of all, you don't have that. It's the brain that is having it. There's a separation between brain, you, and thoughts. Brain is not you, you're not the brain. Get that in first. Secondly, when brain starts having an access to the inventory of thoughts in consciousness, inventory of material that it makes thoughts out of from the consciousness, it goes in there to pick up something. It may go in there to pick up a word or an image or a thought of a tree. But when it is in there, in the inventory of where all material for creating thoughts, all subjects, all topics that have found their way into your consciousness, in that inventory exist, when they go in there, in that inventory, there is only one thought. All thoughts are one, meaning when it goes into that inventory, try to catch something, other thoughts are all one with it, come out with it, and it just happens to show one of them in the screen. It's not like it can go pinpoint one thought and bring it out. When it's trying to bring one thought out, so many millions of other thoughts come out with it because there is only one thought. All thoughts are connected. Brain cannot tell the difference. So when it goes for one negative, brings 100 other negatives. You talk about one negative, brings 100 other negatives, because that's the ability of the brain. That is why it can also make things that they didn't ever exist. Nobody thought of it, like inventions, new discoveries, and all these things. Because of that ability, it also has the same ability in the garbage creation. It creates garbage that never existed. It creates garbage that has no truth to it. It creates garbage that has no existence to it. But it creates garbage because it doesn't understand actuality or virtuality. It creates whatever it can create. And because thoughts are just one, all thoughts are one, are mixed. When it picks up one, so many other shit comes along with it. So it may go in there to pick up a sandwich. You think about a sandwich and other thoughts are in there. It's like they're stuck together. So thought is one. And you're the one who would be able to have that kind of a freedom and ability to ignore what you don't need and just pay attention to the one that you do need, or intrusive thoughts keeps coming up and you end up thinking that it's your choice. No, none of them are your choice. You just went in to pick up some water. You went in to pick up some sandwich. You went in to pick up a tree or a scenery, but other thoughts all mingled with it. So if you understand this, then you wouldn't be bamboozled thinking, oh my goodness, this thought showed up. It means something about me. It means nothing about you. None of them are your creation. They're brain's creation. And brain is not you, you're not the brain. Brain is an apparatus, is a tool, and its job is to make thoughts. If you understand this separation, you'd be free from all these HOCD nonsense, because none of them are inclination of your biology, and none of them are your choices. It's just a brain's way of functioning. Brain makes things that don't even exist. Yeah? But you have no problem with things that you can understand, such as, brain can create things that don't exist in reality in the world, but it can exist. And the same way, but it can't create it. In the same way, it can create things about intrusive thoughts, about your inclination that it's not true at all, but it can make you think it's true because that's its ability. It's got a power. But your intellect, which is not the brain, should be able to help you to separate these and free yourself from it. Yeah. For example, brain can imagine a lion, imagine it with me, a lion with the head of a duck. Such a thing doesn't exist in real world. But this is called neural ensemble, which is a capability of neurons' brains to be able to create these two separate things that they don't have an actuality and reality. They don't exist in real world, but they create it. In the same way, they can create things that you're not about. Your gender, your inclination, your interest, not even, but it brings it into your head. And because it's in the screen of your head and it's powerful, makes you believe something that you're not about. This is why people go crazy. They believe things that is not them. And the contradiction drives them crazy because they can't tell the difference. Why? Because the brain itself is very powerful, but it has no understanding between virtuality and actuality. So when it comes up with something and makes you believe it, you're totally confused because you know this. There is a discrepancy. There is a conflict. There is a this is not you, but somehow you say, why is it showing up? And you go nuts, try to prove to yourself that you're not what you think yourself, but it's the brain is suggesting you. But when you understand brain is not you, you're not the brain, then you don't give a damn. You know who you are, and whatever confusion the brain tries to create, you leave it with the brain. That is its confusion, not mine. Why? Because I can actually detect the separation and difference between what the brain is suggesting and my biology. That's why I'm objecting to it. That's why I have a question about it. That's why if I didn't see the contradiction between the two, I wouldn't question it. When there is no contradiction, there is no awareness. When there's an awareness, that means there's a contradiction. That's why the awareness have been created. And when awareness have been created, that means you're not what the brain is suggesting. It's got nothing to do with you. Otherwise, there would be no contradiction. There would be no awareness, hence. So the fact that you're questioning this and it seems uncomfortable or abnormal to you, to each people different, that already has answered your question about, I'm not this. Yeah, you're not. Because if you weren't, you wouldn't even question it. There was no subject to talk about. But there are subjects for you to talk about when the brain suggests something. That awareness of the difference between what the brain suggests and you and your inclination and your values, that awareness is signifying the contradiction, and that contradiction brings about the awareness, and awareness tells you that's got nothing to do with you and you shouldn't worry about it. You should ignore it, focus on what it is that is your choice, not the brain's choice or suggestion, and you go on with your life. And eventually, through this behavior, the brain learns that this is not of your values or interest, and it rewires itself through neuroplasticity because you constantly ignore it, and it learns that it should now lean to different kind of thinking. And it corrects itself. Because what's gone wrong in the brain has got nothing to do with anything being different with you. What's gone wrong in the brain is that in the center of the brain, in striatum, a lever called caudate nucleus, which is designed to shut down intrusive thoughts, is not functioning properly anymore. There's a glitch in there. So whatever intrusive thoughts that is not in line with your values or inclinations, your gender, your preferences, that shows up, caudate nucleus is not doing its job to shut it down so you can say, because usually intrusive thought shows up in everybody's brain in the world. Everybody, every single human being, 8-9 billion of us, it shows up. But caudate nucleus is designed to shut it down. So you feel like, ooh, that's nasty thought. Whatever it is to you, it's nasty. And then caudate nucleus shuts it down and you go about your business. Done. But in the cases of people who have OCD or subsets of OCD, HOCD, pedophilia OCD, harm OCD, responsibility OCD, all these things, the intrusive thought doesn't get automatically shut down because caudate nucleus is not functioning. So what you have to do, you have to hand deliver the order to prefrontal cortex to tell it, hey, we're not interested in these sort of things. Hmm? And that hand delivery, manually getting that lever to work to shut it down, is the same as when you ignore the intrusive thoughts. It's when you ignore it and you go about your business based on your vetoes and choices and your preferences, not based on the suggestion, thoughts, images of the brain, based on your vetoes and preferences. You, yours, the intellect, the you that is in there. You are not the brain. Brain suggests something that's not your suggestion. That's an apparatus that's making a suggestion, and you, the intellect, the judge, is going to decide if this is of any use or interest to me or not. And when it's not, it ignores and moves on. This ignoring business is the way you're rewiring your brain that is malfunctioning in the signaling system through caudate nucleus. So you help it to, through neuroplasticity, to rewire itself and fix its manners to do what it's supposed, what it's designed to do. In the meantime, you're not supposed to believe whatever the garbage the brain is trying to shove into your throat. Because brain has no gender. Brain doesn't understand your values. Brain is not going to consult with your values that, oh, excuse me, sir, I want to think about something nasty to you. May I? What is your values? It doesn't do that. Just goes and thoughts about whatever they thought. Because why? Because when it goes to pick up one thought, all thoughts are mixed. The association of the one thought to other thoughts is within nanosecond for it. So it goes in there and it association to anything. You see this thing and association to sex and so on. The concept of sex come into the picture, and you think what triggered the question is actually what you're interested in. It's not. A trigger could have an association that takes you to somewhere else by the brain in a matter of half a second. And that somewhere else is a concept of sex. And then you think, oh, this concept of sex is because I'm interested in that, I don't know, same gender or same thing. That has nothing to do with it. Anything can trigger something that to you is understood as sex, but the trigger itself has nothing to do with the sex that you are accustomed to. Well, because the trigger was something that is totally, unacceptable to you, but it ended up having association with sex that you understand. You think, oh, the trigger means anything. No, it doesn't. It's the brain that does the association. I don't know if it's clear for you or not. So, anyhow, having said all that, in video number 8 in that playlist, you will get to know about the concept of all thoughts are one. That's why we all get so easily confused and have all these kind of thoughts shows up, and then we have questions about it. All right. I hope that would be something helpful to you all. And let's go to the next question. And Shirin says, your videos about relationships have helped me greatly, but I still feel depressed and regretful at times. I tend to think about the past, the way things turned out, and basically blaming myself for breakup. Well, we can always blame ourselves for something that we have been involved in. It's like saying, I blame myself for the accident that my car got into it while I was rear-ended. They hit me from behind, and I wasn't really having anything to do with it. Well, you can blame yourself that, so why did I even come out of the home that day to drive to go buy ice cream? You can blame yourself that way, but that doesn't mean that you're at fault. You got on a bicycle and somebody, spinned in front of you and cut you off and you fell. Or you're going to blame yourself because you were part of it. Why did I even ride a bike that day? But it's not fair, because there are lots of things when you get onto it, like the bike, you expect it to be a reasonable, safe road. People reasonably ride their bike safely. and you wouldn't have to be having to do acrobatics or circus trick to stay on the bike. That's a reasonable expectation. In a relationship, you expect to be honest and truthful and fair, and then you expect to receive the same thing from the other end. Well, when they don't do, it doesn't work. Then it's not meeting your standards. You can't be blaming yourself. Why? If I didn't say hello a little bit too late, if I didn't say this, all these things are just ways to take the responsibility, portion of the responsibility away from that other person and put it on yourself. Why? Because you want to feel very fair. Because you think there's a watcher out there watching you and judging you if you're fair or not. You take responsibility or not. Yeah, okay. But first of all, that what is watching you is your own thoughts. There's no real something that is watching you that you have to be really goody two shoes in order to score with it. Secondly, okay, part of it maybe, but it's not the end of the world if someone cannot really handle or compromise or come up with solutions for little problems like this. Well, it's not worthy of that relationship anyhow, or to for you to worry about what could I have done. Well, if there was something you could have done, if you would know something that could have changed, well, you would have. Because you didn't. So you're not at fault in any form, shape, or form. Because I remember my professor in university at one time, Dr. Ferris, in behavior and organization course, he said, at the time one makes a decision, one believes that that decision is correct. In other words, if you are if you know that the decision you're making is not a correct one, you wouldn't make it. Usually sane people we're talking about. So at the time that you make a decision, you thought that's the best decision you could make given the circumstances and given the information you had at that time. Now, when the time passes, you've made the decision, other information became apparent, then you say, oh, I shouldn't have made that. But at the time you made that decision, you didn't have the information that you did after you made the decision. So again, it's going to be unfair for you to judge yourself based on that I should have done this, I should have done this. You couldn't have. Because if you could, you would have. Now, I don't know why you say I basically blame myself for breakup. Obviously, at the time that you made that decision, you had reasons that was the right decision to make. You cannot go back and then now that you know other information or you know how you feel about it, go back and expect that you would have been able to feel the way you feel now after breakup, before the breakup, and before make that decision. However, what the reason or information is new to you right now. These are all unreasonable. And perhaps it's because right now you're thinking about that relationship without really focusing on the problems of the relationship, and you're only remembering all the goody stuff that was going on, because this is what we are. If I think of a girlfriend in the past, even me at this age, I would only think about good stuff about them. Why would I think about the bad stuff? The bad stuff won't come in. So when the bad stuff and the problems that caused me to decide to sever the relationship, when those stuff don't come to my mind, well, the only thing that comes to my mind by nature is the good stuff. So I wouldn't be able to know why wouldn't I miss her? Because I'm not focusing on the reasons that it exists that made me feel to be logical and sever the relationship, compatibility or whatever it was. So same thing for you. When you think about your partner or ex, however, the only thing comes to your mind is good memories. And when good memories are in your mind, what nobody would say, well, that you can't miss good memories. Of course, you're going to miss that person. You're going to miss those memories because they're all good. No bad will come unless you focus on equalizing the situation by bringing up the files that contains all the reasons that why you guys weren't, hitting it off and you had to break up. Then you will have a good, complete picture of the whole thing. But by nature, we always think about the good things of the relationship, because pain and pleasure, nobody wants to remember pain. If that was the case, then no woman would want to be pregnant. Why? Because as soon as somebody gets pregnant and they deliver the child, in about a month later, she's ready to get pregnant again. But if they would remember all the pain that they went through, if that would be the dominant factor in their memory, they would never want to be pregnant again. But those pains don't come up. Only the happiness of it and the whole satisfaction of having giving birth to another human being and all that is in forefront of their memory. So they only judge even a painful situation with not with the pain stuff, with the good stuff that came from it. So it's naturally everybody who has been in a relationship and thinks about it, ponders on it, only can come up with good stuff, and then says, "Oh, I miss her or him," and say, "Why did I even break up?" You can't even remember that. That's why you got to update the file. Every time you think about it, you got to update the file. These are the problems. These were the difficulties. These were the challenges. That's why it didn't work out. We tried this. I tried this. These were the differences. And then you will say, okay, simmer down. No regrets. And what else? I tend to, okay, that's pretty much is depressed. Well, you're depressed because you haven't replaced anything for it. And I'm sure if you move on from this, you will automatically open the welcome mat would be there for other acquaintances, which would lead to, another relationship. But you don't seem to be focusing on what other opportunities are naturally available in the world, and you've condensed the whole thing to one previous relationship, which is totally ludicrous. I mean, it's not wise to think that this whole experience of life that we are in here experiencing it, as short as this life is all condensed to one relationship or one partner. What the hell is that? And I bet you if you allow it, there'll be lots of candidates that would want to get to know you, and you will see where that goes. Um, I hope that's something helpful to you. And let's see. So we have, how do I get changes? I'm learning this system here. Okay. Olga says it will be in two parts, I guess. Okay, Olga's question. And Olga says, lately, when I'm in the nature, I don't feel empowered. I feel emotionally drained. Nature has strong connection to the past for me, to the times when I was a kid. And I feel like I'm this kid again. And suffer from memories instead of enjoying the present moment. Nature is a reminder of the past, she says, and of importance, of impermanence, of impermanence. Wind, air, smell, sound all give me flashbacks. The more I focus the present, on the present, the more drained I feel, and the more I am somewhere else. Yeah, but you have the choice to stay in that stream of pleasant or unpleasant memory, or you don't. It's like you go into a bazaar and there's so many offerings of different stores and different merchants. You pass on everyone that you're not interested, but they're all present. when you smell that fresh air or the aroma that brings that childhood memory or whatnot, all kinds of memories come with all that, what you explained. But it is now your choice to stay in there or get out of it. You're in control of saying, okay, that's fine. I enjoy that part, but this, I don't want to think about it. You move on and focus your eyes on something else or move on from that smell. It's not like it's constantly not letting you get away with it. It triggers you, and then you can shut that trigger off by simply choosing, okay, I had enough thinking about this. Now I want to move on. But if you think that you're helpless and your decisions and vetoes and choices are based on what smell in the air is, then you can be tortured all the time and you're not in control. Your nervous system is out of your control because anybody who wants to get something out of you, get a rise out of it, get you turned upside down and upset, and just simply find what kind of aroma you like or you don't like and come and spray it and say, okay, now you do what I want, or you just suffer because I just did this. Sometimes these aromas or these fresh air or the smell and all these maybe places in the nature can bring a certain memory to you, but you can quickly move on to other possible memories that is flooding all your consciousness, that you have all kinds of other experiences in life, and it can pinpoint another triggering point in your consciousness, which takes you to a different kind of part of your life, different memory, and naturally takes you away from this particular one that could have been bothersome. But if you don't do anything about it, it's like saying, well, I was just sitting there and people were throwing stone and it was keep hitting me. And I didn't know what to do. Well, get up and move on. Then the stones will hit somewhere that you're not. So you think that smell, that freshness or whatever it is reminds you of your childhood. Okay, go to another location that doesn't have that smell. It's not maybe as simple as I'm saying it, but it can be, because ultimately you have the power to veto thinking about something or choose to think about something else, because there's so many of those triggers to bring different memories to you available. And all those nature that takes you back can also take you to future if you command it. Say, I'm not here to ruminate the past because of this freshness or the smell or however it feels. I'm here actually to want to relax, meditate, and go beyond and see what my future can shape, how I want to shape my future. So it's like you go and sit in an orchestra or in front of a drum or a guitar, and you can play either one, and you think that you have to play a certain tune. Well, yeah, you're sitting there and all the urges says you want to play, but play a different tune. Not because, oh, I'm here, then I must play that tune that makes me sad. Well, you're outside in the air and the fresh and the smell and all that, feel like kids will think about part of your childhood that was good. Think about, okay, that's very relaxing because it takes me to childhood, but now I want to come back here, use that relaxation that it gave me, and think about my future. Utilize it, the energy, in a different way. Not it has to go the way your thought takes, because it's your thoughts. Okay, it triggers something, that smell, that aroma, that freshness, but then your thought takes over and takes you somewhere in the past. Don't let your thought take you somewhere in the past that bothers you. Let it take you somewhere in the past that doesn't bother, or somewhere to present, or somewhere to the future. Use that relaxation to create something else, rather than allow yourself to swim in the ocean of the past. There's ocean of present, there's ocean of future. That's when you got to come into the picture. So how to enjoy the present moment and the beauty of nature without memories and flashbacks and grieving? Because you're not in the present when you're in the memory. Because you're perceiving everything that you're there. You're not observing it. If I look at that tree and I don't care what its name is, I don't care what it looks like, a certain kind of a tree I saw before, I don't go there. I just look at that color that tree, that air, things are different. I don't want to name it. I just want to be with it. I just want to observe it. I don't want to interpret it. I don't want to perceive it. I don't want to compare its shape to something else. I just, that's what it is. No name, no comparison. That wind that blows, I don't say, oh, I used to feel like this when I was in Hawaii at the beach. I don't, because no longer I'm in the present moment. I'm in the beach in Hawaii some time ago that doesn't even exist anymore. So I took my existence of now to the non-existence of the past by simply thinking perception of the smell or whatever it is that I'm smelling instead of just smelling it. I don't give it a location. I don't give it a memory. I don't give it a taste. I don't give it nothing. I just, what a breeze. If he wants to take me somewhere, I said, no, I'm here. I'm paying attention to this breeze. I'm feeling this breeze, not how it felt the other breeze the other day somewhere else, which it takes me away. No, I'm no longer in the present. So the reason that you're not in the present, you're in the past, because you allow the triggers to make you perceive whatever you're experiencing rather than experiencing what it is for what it is, without name, without memory, without story, without nothing. Stay with it. Feel that. Smell that as a new smell, as a independent smell, not as a smell that triggers a memory. No memory. Stay. Keep staying. Look at the things that are moving in front of you. Follow the movement of the things that are in present moment are moving, not what things moved when you smelled this and took you back somewhere else. I hope that helps to realize the difference between perceiving and observing. And you got to observe rather than perceiving. All right. Ragu. Ragu says, hi, male 24. I'm suffering from HOCD from 2 years. I had a groinal response after I suddenly saw a naked man. And from then on, I have been facing HOCD. Well, yeah, well, of course, because as I said, thoughts are one. You see a naked man, you have a naked body yourself. So what do you do with your naked? You're a man, your naked body. So you obviously associated with sex, and associated with kind of a sex that is, in line with your values. When you see another naked man, you're not thinking about sex with that man. That nakedness of that man associates itself, because you also have same muscles, same nakedness, and you associate this with sex with women. So as you associate that with sex with women, and the arousal takes place, and you think it was arousal because of the guy. No. It was arousal because of the association of the concept of sex that happened to be triggered by, I don't know, a cockroach or a bicycle or the restaurant table in a restaurant. It could be triggered by anything, but association of it to the sex that is in line with your values gives you this. And then plus the fact that since you actually are totally against this, the anxiety that is created, what if this means anything? No. Oh, I saw something that, why? Because we all think that I'm the stud muffin, I'm the one. Only me and my dick is the only important one, and nothing else, no other thing. I have no interest in anything else of the same kind, only my own. But when you see something like that, suddenly you have an anxiety that, oh, I don't know, what is that? I have no interest, and especially because these sort of different lifestyles constantly being talked about in different mediums and so on, and is suggestive lifestyles that is irrelevant to you, could be relevant to some other people, but irrelevant to you, and too much information that is unnecessary for people who are not interested in a certain lifestyle is constantly being bombarded in their consciousness. So they become aware. The consciousness, the brain becomes aware of existence of such lifestyle, which is not in line with your values, and it's actually not something you find it interesting for you, and therefore when you see something like that, it associates with that, and that association gives you anxiety. The anxiety at the same time is association of that naked man's body is your own naked body as well, goes to sex for the kind of sex that you're interested, and then the arousal takes place, and you just want question what this arousal was. Who cares? Shouldn't even question it. You should know it's arousal because of the association with sex and anxiety, because you want to protect yourself from the things that you're not interested in. All that, and the question, oh, I shouldn't get any arousal, then you get an arousal. Why? Because the whole blood pressure moves, and the whole anxiety, and then the whole reaction to things, and it's all just, you should stop questioning the nature's dealing with things and let it automatically deal. Don't interpret anything, means nothing, has no meaning. It's brain's association with things. Brain makes body react, and those reactions of the body has nothing to do with you, has to do with the thought and the brain's power to create thoughts, and the thoughts create emotions, and emotion could create a reaction in the body, and that reaction does not represent your sexuality. It represents a whole process of association of things, and you shouldn't even give a shit about interpreting any of it whatsoever. Focus on what you like, what you prefer, and that's all. You live by your vetoes and choices, nothing else. Everybody's going to suggest something, or maybe according to their preference or their lifestyle, maybe want to recruit you in that, or maybe want to suggest or talk about it. You're not supposed to be listening to what other people are talking about or interested in. You focus on whatever you're interested in, and then you pass by the stuff that you're not interested in, let alone in actuality or in thoughts. Ignore and go on. Ignore and go on. That's what we do. I mean, you go get out of your home to go to do shopping, or to do some kind of a chore, or some kind of a duty, responsibility, school, job, whatever it is. So many things on your way to that, what you want to accomplish that day, you see that is irrelevant to you. What do? You ignore and go. You ignore and go. You don't stand and say, oh, why are you doing here? It has got nothing to do with me. Why are you happen to be in my way? None of that. Everything is everywhere. So you just ignore and go. Ignore and go. Focus on your vetoes and choices. That's all. You don't give any importance because your brain is trying to protect you, or your brain is paying attention, or your brain is dumb and stupid like everybody else's brain is, because brain is not an intellect. But when something comes into it, you think, oh, it must mean something because brain is my intellect. No, brain is not your intellect. Brain is one of the dumbest part of your body, your existence. Why? Because it thinks it knows things, but it doesn't. He has no idea what your values are. He has no idea what your inclination is. He has no idea of anything. He just guesses things. And he thinks he got to create as much thought, as many thoughts as he can, 80, 90,000 thoughts a day, because that's his job. And that's what he does. So relax on that. Olga says, thank you. Shirin says, thank you. You're quite welcome. All right. I don't see here how many people we have here. That's the drawback of this system. Sid is here, male 33 Estonia. Says, hello, General. Dropped in to say hi. Hello there. Good to see you here. Hope you're doing well. And I can't figure out the information that I have. Hey, guys, by the way, what do you think about the new title I have for the live stream? I know in the description, it says what we talk about: dating, manners, moral, breakups, relationships, OCD, HOCD. But what do you think about the title? I've changed the title, just made it easy instead of all that description. You know, people have been calling me that, so I thought maybe I'll just use that. Any comments of the title? And if I could learn how I can tell how many people we have here, how many likes we have, so I can make comment on it, that would be good. And Sid says the new title got me there. Love it. Oh, okay. And Ragu says, thank you. You're welcome. Guys, make a comment on the title. You guys like the title? That's a good picture of you, Sid. You look good in a suit. Good for you. And MS3, thank you for that, dear. Thanks for the info. Says seven watching, seven likes. Okay, great. Okay. It would be good if they would let us see it from here rather than somebody have to go and search it out. And what about the logo? Do you guys see the logo? Or no, you don't see the logo because I haven't, it's a free one. If I pay for it, which I will, it's nominal. And I can have my logo here right where the duck's head is. So I'll have my logo there. It's very clear and the sound is good, right? It works with my Scarlett system pretty good. Okay, I'm impressed. A very clear picture too. Me like. Now, how do I get the things that we don't have? Oh, maybe I can switch it with this. I can switch it with this. There we go. Ah, yeah, that's good. See, that kind of takes care of the problem we always had. People forget to do that. Not bad, little fancy stuff here. So we have Charu Smita. Hello, Charu. Says, hi, Meran. How are you? I want to share that I lost my mom due to COVID a few days back. I'm in constant pain when I realize that the permanence of it. Ah, yes, yes. Do you do grief counseling? Yes, yes, yes. I was in there still. Yes, I do. Um, this is, I'm very sorry about that. This is very sad. It's one of those things that, like, nobody can do anything about it when it gets close. And it's always so sudden. When my dad passed away, I remember I was doing some hobby work, which was a referee in a soccer match for high school teams, men's teams, women's teams. Like I have the license for refereeing for soccer matches. And when my dad had died, that same day or the next day was it? I had a game that I was scheduled to referee, and I remember I was running as hard as I could, and I was whistling, blowing my whistle for the stuff, and nobody could see it, but I was running and crying. You can't stop it. It's it's one of the worst. I mean, it's the worst thing could ever happen to anyone. And then when that happens, you realize that everything else that you're moaning and groaning about, not worth it because um, all the other challenges, economics and job and relationships and all that, none of them are permanent and you can forget about it, go on with something else and they pass. But these sort of things is like permanent, the permanence of it, as you said, it's devastating. Um, I made a video on when one of my clients' mother, he was a lawyer. I think he was at the time 70-year-old or 69-year-old lawyer in one of the states in United States, and he lost his mom. And I made a video on that topic for him basically, but it was for everybody. Still on the channel, that perhaps that could be of some help to you at the time. Let me see if I can find it and and maybe put the link here. Just one moment, please. Okay, I think that's what it is. Okay, here it is. I'm putting it here, and perhaps that could be of some help. But by all means, mindthatseekstruth.com. Mindthatseekstruth.com. You can go in there if you wish and make an appointment, and you can make an appointment for an hour, and I will double it. So we'll have 2 hours to be together and explore it. Um, and here's the link. In the meantime, you can use this, see if it's of some help. MS Treese's Charu says, um, yeah, yeah. Okay, Charu. So I've put it up there for you, and you're welcome. My pleasure. And MS3 says it's fine coming from a 60-ish yo mom. I'm not getting it exactly. And Miss Miss Tree says, I miss my dad greatly and carry the best of him with me at the forefront. Yes, yes. Pierre Richard, is that your dad's name? John Smith is here, says, Dear Doctor. John says, Dear Dr. Miranda. John, I'm not a doctor. Let's put this, whether it's an honorary degree, thank you very much, I appreciate it, but just want to make sure there's no misunderstanding. I'm not a doctor. I have no medical credentials. I am not a psychologist. I'm not a psychotherapist. If you guys need to talk to your doctors, please talk to your psychologist, psychotherapist, or your GP, because I'm not one and I don't claim to be one. Just want to make that clear so nobody would be, whatever I wrote, the books I've written based on my research of scholars hundreds of years ago, based on my research in neuroscience, based on my research on OCD, HOCD, based on my research on the movement of the mind, thoughts, consciousness, fear, desire, ego, mechanical process, material process, order, and all these things. And I don't want any misunderstanding there. So hopefully it will be helpful to all of you. The videos I make, or the books I've written, or what I say, personal experiences. And I'm not that young anymore. I'm 65 years old, so I've learned a thing or two and researched a thing or two, quite elaborately on many topics. So that's why I'm here and do what I do. But thank you for that. Anyhow, says thank you very much for sharing your wisdom. Since you are you're saying, since you're a doctor, can you give me advice about? No, I'm not a doctor. Again, I'm not a doctor. Says how to cure my OCD bad thoughts. I just actually talked about it, and I will hopefully upload this so you can hear it. And I have many other videos and playlists talking about negative thoughts and OCD and HOCD and subsets of OCD, and hopefully that would be helpful. John. Atif, he says, hi, Mehran, 38, male, New York City. Ah, hello, Atif. Says, I'm so torn. I almost thought you were saying I'm so stoned. I said, well, what are you doing here? Says, I'm so torn about which condo to buy. I've been so indecisive and want a place that is big to host parties, but think I will go with a smaller place that is cozy just for me. Definitely go for the smaller one. What do you mean? You're not a discotheque to buy a house for parties. Buy something for now, keep the cash and save some money, and just make sure you write the contract well so they can't bother you while you're doing that. John says, thank you. My mistake. You're very articulate, so it gave me the impression you're a professor or some kind. I take the professor if you like, but I just don't want any misunderstanding. I have no medical credentials. And professor or a doctor or political leader. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I just hope that I made it clear, and I appreciate your kindness, kind words. Um, Atif says, I think people will like to get stoned at a bigger place. I don't know, Atif. No comment on that. So move on. Go buy your go buy your condo and get it over with. Ragu says, hi. Just a follow up question. Is it normal to get feelings when the sexual intrusive thoughts pop up? Naturally, naturally. Look, brain is very powerful. I don't know if you guys have had the chance to look at my 59-second skip uh, um, part of a video that was a seminar in a university. I was invited to do a seminar for a group. And if you look at this, which I'm going to put it up here, it's only 59 seconds. You can take a look at it, and then we'll continue our discussion. Um, all right. So this 1 minute video, I want you to take a look at it right now, right this moment. Just go click on it and watch it, and then come back to me in 1 minute. Could you do that for me? All right. That's the link right here. So once you all watch it, just put one. That means you've watched it. So I can continue discussion. I'll have some tea. Okay. Have you guys watched it already? Put a one. The ones who watched it, put a one. It's only 59 seconds, for heaven's sake. I hope you all did. Do I get a response by any chance? Please? Anybody? Anyone? Anyone? Mm. Okay, good. So three people. Okay, that's encouraging. So if you look at that, when you said, is it normal for the body to react when the intrusive thought shows up, sexual intrusive thoughts shows up? Well, if you look at that, that's a power of mind. From a second ago to the next second, there was nothing changed in me. I was the same mass. One second he can lift me up, the other second he cannot. That's the power of mind. But who was actually manipulating that power? Something other than the brain itself. That's me, the conductor, the director of the power of the brain. That's why there's a separation between brain, me, and thoughts. I am the intellect. I'm the one who can orchestrate the behavior of the brain in some cases. And when I can't, that's when the brain has gone rogue, not that I'm supposed to follow the brain. In this particular example, you saw that I was able, which you can be too as well, anybody can do, change the law of gravity by the power of mind. If you can change your supposedly your mass or the reaction to the gravity with such apparatus that you have, naturally it can also make your body react to something that you have no interest in. For the same reason, simpler reason, I want you to imagine every one of you, if you will, please do imagine this with me right now. Close your eyes and imagine with me you're in France in a vineyard. You're out of season. All grapes are green, hard, and sour. You take one, you put it in your mouth, and you crunch on it, and it's the sourest grape that you could have tasted comes to your mind, comes to your mouth. And then on top of it, you cut a lemon and squeeze it in your mouth. And then you get a lime and you cut it in half and you squeeze it in my, start licking on it. Are you salivating? Most of you would be salivating. But there is no grape, green grape, raw grape, sour grape. There is no lime. There is no lemon. So what is this bodily reaction of salivating? Thoughts. Which means it is natural in the power of the brain that a thought can create a reaction in the body. The process of it would be a reaction of some trigger that it associates itself to something that creates that arousal in you in your own way, or through anxiety of I don't want to have any arousal toward that thing that is not of my inclination or in line with my values, but then it does because of this whole focus on it and the anxiety on it and the whole protection program that you already have in your brain. All of that and the movement and the blood pressure and all that, you can react to something that you had nothing to do with it. So all of that is irrelevant. So I have that same the 1 minute part that you saw was the part of a seminar called The End of Fear. You might want to watch that whole thing. The End of Fear. I'm going to put the link up and you may actually get some here. End of Fear. That was done in a local university here. And so perhaps you could enjoy it. It's interesting as far as I'm concerned. There's a link for the full version of it. John says, my personal belief is no one knows for a fact what happens when we die. My question is, do you fear death? Or in other words, fear of the unknown, is there any way we can eliminate this fear? Well, of course, we cannot avoid death as much as I wish to. But in the meantime, I don't have to be scared shitless from it, because when it comes, I wouldn't even know it. It comes and it's done, right? But until then, I'm not dead. And because I'm not dead, I don't want to think about it. So I want to think about the present moment, the life. While I'm alive, I want to think about life. When I'm dead, okay, I'll think about death then. It's I wouldn't know either. Anyhow, at the time. But I'm not going to waste my life thinking about something that hasn't come yet out of fear or anything. If I am in the present moment, the fear doesn't have a chance. Fear of unknown, fear of death, fear of anything. Because in the present moment, it's so small, it's so minuscule, that in that minuscule moment, it's so fast passing that nothing can get a chance to fear me, to threaten me. It's a moment gone. It's a moment gone. It's a moment gone. So if I'm always in the present moment, I am with the happenings in that moment. And the happenings in that moment hardly are anything scary, because I am aware in that moment to make sure I protect myself. So every moment by moment, I pass life by being fully present in the moment. And in those small moments, every moment is made out of lots of small moments, and those small moments are pretty safe. So I focus on being in the present moment at all times. And if I can do that, achieve that, then the level of fear and anxiety would be far less than what it usually is, because we are all protective of something and anxious about something. Justice for Claude says, "Hi sir, is being gay a choice?" Well, anything can be a choice. You want to be gay, be gay. But if you're asking me if your biology is heterosexual, then is it natural for you to be gay? No, and you won't be gay. But if whether you are heterosexual or not, you want to be gay, that's your choice. You want to be involved in a different lifestyle, well, that's your choice. Hmm? But if you're telling me that uh, without your permission and without your choice, a heterosexual can be gay, no, not at all, because that's heterosexual. Otherwise, it would not be called heterosexual. It would be called homosexual. So just the same as a homosexual, without its consent or choice, cannot change its lifestyle and be interested in a heterosexual lifestyle, because his biology is not supporting it. And a heterosexual, the same. He may make the choice of getting involved in homosexual lifestyle, but his biology is going to stop it. Even though he may, in his brain, or the brain is trying to suggest to him that way, but his biology will stop him. That's why that's why people who are heterosexual and they have these homosexual thoughts, or HOCD, intrusive thoughts, should not be scared of anything, because regardless of what the brain suggests and tries to promote, which is to them is unnatural, their biology is not going to allow it anyhow, because there is no interest, there's no biological interest. Their brain may want to introduce and convince them, because that's what the malfunctioning brain in a heterosexual does that. But the biology of the heterosexual will put a stop to it and a break on it, because it's always is becoming aware of the separation between his inclination and the suggested lifestyle. And his biology is aware of the conflict between the two lifestyles, of his reality and his gender and what is suggested by the brain. And that awareness is not going to let that happen, no matter how many times these intrusive thoughts shows up. And the same thing for a gay person. A homosexual is, that is what his biology is, and therefore it doesn't matter how scared he may be of HOCD, it won't happen. He can relax. But the brain is so powerful that its suggestions makes one get into anxiety, as if it can come true, because it makes it believe, because the brain doesn't have an intellect. It wants to create security for itself through occupation. So it creates intrusive thoughts to create occupation, busyness between you and itself, so it can feel secure. Because brain doesn't find security like your body does. Your body finds security when you touch your limbs and you know where things are, and then you're in your apartment and the door is locked and you're in a good part of town, so you feel security, you feel secure physically. But the brain doesn't find its security in the physicality, in the safety of the physicality, the physical area. It finds its security in occupation, in being busy. And if it cannot find hobbies and things that is going to keep him busy and interesting in doing something, it creates things that causes you to debate with it. And what does cause you to debate with it? Things that are negative to you, to your lifestyle, to your values. Otherwise, you wouldn't object to it. There would be no data on it. There would be no debate. So it chooses, HOCD, finds negative things to your lifestyle, so you can object to it. And this conversation would take over, and then it becomes more and more prevalent. And then the brain finds occupation, busyness, and finds security, because brain doesn't have a home unless you train it, as I have talked about it in other videos, how to train the mind where its home is, to relax and settle, to become calm and become less active, to create all these intrusive thoughts. So until then, it tries to find all kind of discrepancies for you, and so you will go to protect it and fight with it and debate with it, and then that occupation creates security for the mind, for the brain, for the thoughts. That's what it does. And when most of you fall for it, and you think what brain suggests has any kind of a credibility, and you try to prove it wrong because it's against your biology, and you say my biology is not this, my brain is wrong, so I have to prove to the brain, because brain is my intellect. No, brain is not intellect. Brain is stupid. You don't have to prove anything to it. Just ignore it and train it. You got to train the brain, not prove anything to it. Train it by ignoring it and teaching it that, hey, I'm not interested in this. Whatever your gender is, whatever HOCD attacks you, it attacks you with the opposite of what your gender is. Otherwise, it's not HOCD. Whatever that is contradicting to your values, to your lifestyle, to your preferences, to your choices, that's what HOCD attacks you with. And so that's what HOCD is. Otherwise, if it was the same, there would be no awareness of such contradiction. And when there's no awareness of such contradiction, because there is no contradiction. If there is a contradiction, there's an awareness. That's why you guys are aware and asking these questions. I'm hit by HOCD for 2 years. Well, that means you're not homosexual. If you were, there would be no contradiction. There would be no awareness, because there would be no contradiction. If there's no awareness, there's no contradiction. If there's an awareness, that means there is a contradiction. And the contradiction means that you are not what the brain says you are, because brain is stupid. You are you. Brain is brain. Let it just talk for itself, not for you. And you shouldn't fall for it. All right. Okay, let me read the rest of your question, Justice for Claude. I guess I didn't read the whole question, but anyhow, we had a discussion. And Justice says, "Hi, sir. Is being gay a choice?" Says, "I am gay and Muslim, but I live in a very conservative country. And if anyone finds out, I could face prison or even death. Is being gay wrong because I don't see the issue?" No, being gay is not wrong. Being gay is being gay. Like heterosexual is being heterosexual, homosexual is being homosexual. That's a gender. So some cultures or some uh, countries with their system of understanding or government may not understand this, but that doesn't change the fact that being gay, there's nothing wrong with it. We've all lived together amongst each other for the past million years or so, and there have always been gay people part of the population. So it's not an issue for the person who's gay. It's like it's not an issue for a heterosexual who's a heterosexual. Being a heterosexual is not an issue for a heterosexual, and being homosexual is not an issue for a homosexual. It's no difference. It's a gender. It's your gender. So there's no issue there. Now, because if there's an issue with a certain government or policy, that has nothing to do with the facts. You just got to get out of that country. I honestly, I mean, life is short. You don't have to put up with all that. Go somewhere that is, this is understood as most other parts of the world understand. Being gay is one lifestyle. Being heterosexual is another lifestyle. Yeah. So, all right. Um, what else do we have here? So, looks like, ooh, wow, we have actually gone 1 hour and 26 seconds. So, you guys like the quality of this system here? Everything good? I mean, I'm delighted because my mic works properly as it always did. So, that's good. And Justice for Claude says, thank you for answering my question. I want to tell my parents, but I think they will call the police if I do and disown me. Well, I don't think they will call the police. They're not stupid. You're their child. And I don't know what to recommend to you because I can understand how difficult that part of the world, those sort of things could be. So I guess your number one priority to you is to protect yourself and to um, it's not a time to be a hero in an environment where you're in such minority that you don't have that kind of a power to protect yourself. So you better think it through. And um, how old are you? You didn't say your age here. I bet you then that this is not your picture either, of course. So I'm not going to put it up there. But not knowing your age, of course, in any case, I think you better protect yourself and don't necessarily have to be a hero to advertise about it in that environment, as noble as it could be and brave as it could be. But you gotta be reasonable to think if the atmosphere is supportive enough to be able to take that kind of a risk. Otherwise, just it could. it could be safer. It would be safer for you maybe to keep it within your loved ones and yourself until that community or society is got you know more um, more ready to understand. 17, yeah. I don't recommend you advertise for it or suddenly turn into a hero until you eventually finish your schooling and perhaps you leave the country to a more understanding country. Just keep it under wraps. I would suggest in that country where I assume you are. So, yeah, but there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Live your life. All right. Emmanuel says, hello, Miran. Hello, Emmanuel. All right, guys. It looks like it's time for me to go and hit the road. I usually have this uphill exercise every day to get myself back in shape. So it's a pretty climb, straight up to north. And it's not easy, but it's now 8 times I've done it. So I can't wait to do it again. And then, the good thing about exercise is that after that, you want to eat and you feel justified to eat. All right. Emmanuel says, male 28 Boston. All right, guys. I think it's time for me to mosey on out and leave you guys alone. And I want to say, I love you all. Thank you very much for being here, giving me the opportunity to share a thing or two with you. I'm glad that you like the system. So come on, give me a one if you like the system, the whole setup of it, the resolution, the mic, and everything. So we'll I'll continue on this because I don't have to use OBS because OBS doesn't, you know, somehow something went wrong and my good mic wasn't used, and the quality of sound in my videos changed, and so I don't like that. Now I can, it's good. So, having said all that, hope you guys are doing well, and I look forward to talk to you this coming Saturday. This was an extra. I thought I'd try this. And we have MS31 says, rest easy. Anari says, hi, Meran. Can you make more ASMR videos? I don't have any ASMR videos, do I? I don't think, what does it do? What does ASMR do? There's no benefit to anyone. It's just maybe some subscribers, but that's not what I'm looking for, Anari. And I don't have any asthma. Maybe some of the things I've made meditation tapes and all that, they sound interesting to you, but otherwise. So anyhow, and I love singing. Oh, you're here as well. Where were you? You just showed up. Oh, there it is. I love singing. It says, hello, Meron. Hello there. Sorry about it. I didn't notice that you're not here. I mean, that you're here. Otherwise, I would say hello. And thank you for the ones. And Shirin, thank you for that. And Carter Killet. Okay. And Emmanuel says, this morning I got scolded like a little child in a public park. I was shooting arrows with my hunting bow in a quiet, remote area where people don't walk until a guy came to me and scolded me. Well, let's take responsibility for what we do. We shouldn't be really using real bow and arrow that could actually, and then, of course, I know you were careful, but sometimes things happen and that person shouldn't have scolded you like a little child. Should have just been a little bit more maybe careful in his wording. But at the same time, you don't need anybody to scold you or not. You have a good mind and you know what's safe, what's not safe. But at the same time, in a public park, you don't do that anyhow. You shouldn't. You shouldn't do that. at all, because you never know. As careful as you are, something may just show up, a dog, something that you didn't expect it, or a child you couldn't see it, and suddenly appear, and you're in your own concentration. A disaster could happen. But the hell with the guy who scolded you, but you should not do these sort of risky things anyhow. And Emmanuel says, how badly I was humiliated by a stranger. Who gives a shit? Don't worry about the stranger. Focus on the fact that should you take responsibility for an action that could have caused damage? And that guy probably had lots of anxieties, and he couldn't do it in any more civilized manner because there was no harm, nothing had happened. But at the same time, I would like to see that you yourself make these decisions beforehand. And if you want to do that, to go to a certain kind of a area that it would be just no way to cause any harm. Because if such thing happens, you, as a nice person that you are, you will not forgive yourself. You will be very sad. So let's put it this way. Let's think about this guy. As bad as his behavior was an angel sent to you to give you a message, so this will not end up someday in some kind of a disaster that you, as an angel yourself, wouldn't be able to live with it. Let's put it this way. Let's consider this asshole with his bad behavior a instrument of the higher level to help you recognize something that you already knew, but things that you couldn't have guessed could have happened, and it just it helped you to see that possibility. So next time you maybe do it somewhere else. That's all. Otherwise, there's this guy has nothing over you. It's just sometimes universe uses instruments to bring a little bit more of a you know decision making process that is more becoming to us, because it probably expects a lot more from you than some regular person. Andre J says, hi, Dad. Okay, thank you. And don't forget, guys, I put this here and nobody still reads it. Says, welcome. Please let me know your age, gender, and where you are tuning in from. Which country? Thank you. So still, I see people say hello. They still don't introduce themselves as part of the protocol that we have set in here for. Now, okay, having said all that, Emmanuel, don't feel bad. Be okay. Don't worry about it. It's all good. You now will, make the decision you have to. You need to. In the meantime, I look forward to talk to you guys on Saturday, 1 p.m. Vancouver time. And I look forward to talk to you again. And again, in the meantime, be good to yourself, to the others. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.